In this video, we are going to discuss the flexible invoice feature in AXIO ProServe. With this feature, we can create multiple invoices with various combinations of departments and create an invoice package which we can email to the client. We can set up the email ID or we can set up an email template for the email. Before getting into the process, we have to configure certain options in Flexible Invoice. To set up Flexible Invoice parameters, go to AXIO ProServe and AXIO ProServe Parameters. From the left menu at the bottom, select Flexible Invoice to open the Setup Flexible Invoice Parameters. The first option is to configure under the Enable App section. The Enable Flexible Invoice App Boolean, if set to true, enables Flexible Invoice App. If the Boolean is set to false, the Flexible Invoice app is disabled. There is no requirement to have this feature enabled, and if disabled, it will not affect regular processing and functions. Once the app is enabled, there are other options to consider. In this video, we will cover grouping and subtotals, invoice break-by, and the Enable Print Extra Columns options. Next, we will turn on the Enable Send Email option and Enable Create Invoice Package option. We will also enable invoice frequency and WE weekend date. Click Save to save these changes. There is one more setup we will need to configure. Navigate to the Project Management and Accounting level. Select All Projects, Project Contracts. The project contract is a standard business scenario, where for every project there should be a project contract, and this is where funding rules, building rules, funding limits, and everything for Flexible Invoice are defined. Navigate to the Funding Sources section and click on Details. This is where the AXIO Flexible Invoice custom fields are found, such as invoice frequency and WE date, invoice delivery and frequency options for sending emails, the email template to use, and the AXIO project invoice contact information for emails. The information in these sections defaults in from the setup parameters we just reviewed, such as enabled delivery and package where we enabled send email. Note that if we set the option to no in the setup parameters, the custom flexible invoice fields for those AXIO invoice delivery methods section are no longer displayed in the funding source details page. If I refresh, that tab with the custom fields is no longer visible. Let's check to re-enable this and save it. Come back here, do a refresh. The AXIO invoice delivery methods section is visible again. In conclusion, for visibility of these fields so that users can see the fields and make changes, the options in the setup parameters have to be enabled. In some cases, not all projects may use the flexible invoice functionality. Occasionally, only certain projects will be used to create an invoice package and send it via email to clients. If all projects aren't using this functionality, we will have the ability to set up flexible invoicing at the project level. Next, we'll look at invoice frequency. This option gives you the ability to send your invoice packages in multiple ways. For example, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, custom, etc. In this example, we'll just select Custom now and set the weekend date to Friday. Set the Send Email option to Yes and select an email template from the drop-down. The email template lets you design an email template once and reuse it when you create an email for sending the invoice packages. Under the AXIO project invoice contact information, you can specify the email IDs to use when you send the invoice packages. Once you make your selections for the various options, click Save. Thank you for viewing this video on setting up flexible billing invoices in AXIO ProServe.